Today on ZZZ Made Easy, we're cycling back around for another guide on Lycaon. This video will cover the basics of Lycaon's main mechanics, how you can build them, and some teams you can go into. This guide will cover the potential vision buffs Lycaon received in version 2.6. To get access to the new moves and extra passives, you must purchase Lycaon's potential silhouettes from the potential archive shop. If you have no idea what that is, I'll link a separate guide for that. Lycaon is a standard S-rank Ice Stone agent from Victoria Housekeeping. He's generally considered one of the better standard S-ranks because he stuns decently fast, provides damage buffs, and can work with any of the Ice DPS agents. With the rework, Lycaon has gained a new mechanic where he would join the active agent to hunt as a pack. Unlike the Aftershock stunners, Lycaon's moves are tied to your inputs. This Encircle Prey state has some odd quirks, but it allows Lycaon to provide extra days in moments he could not before. On top of this, Lycaon's team damage buffs have been expanded to work with more than just the Ice teams. Let's start with Lycaon's basic attacks. He would do a 5-part combo that does physical damage. The 4th and 5th basics have iframes while Lycaon's still in the air. Lycaon's main mechanic is that he can charge his attacks. By holding the basic attack button, it will alter the 5-part combo into a 3-part combo. This is because the first charged basic will combine the first 3 moves into one string. The second charged input is the normal 4th basic, and the third charged input is the normal 5th finishing move. Lycaon's charged basics deal ice damage and deal higher days. You will need to hold then release, hold then release, hold then release to do the 3 parts. Lycaon will automatically do each move when he's fully charged, so you can release the button as soon as you see him start to act. As a small note, the last charged basic attack has 2 charge levels. It's subtle, but the level 1 charge does less hits than the level 2. The main reason you want to do the level 1 charge is so Lycaon can get into the air quicker to get his iframes. You should always try to get the full charge attack off, but it just comes down to timing with the enemy. Lycaon's core passive leans into his charged basic attacks. When you fully charge these moves, they deal 80% more days. As part of the rework, this 80% days bonus now applies to Lycaon's dodge counter and his dash attack. So far, this is a very simple effect. Get the charge attack timing down and you get a massive 80% more days. As for the dodge counter and dash attacks, these just get a huge days buff for free basically. We can cover both of those moves right now. Lycaon's dodge counter is a quick kick. It's snappy, but this also means Lycaon doesn't have a lot of iframes. If you're facing a multi-hit attack, be ready to dodge counter again and again. Lycaon's dash attack will slide in the enemy's direction, but he won't lunge at them. It also deals physical damage, so unfortunately this isn't the most useful move. At least it deals more days now. For both the dodge counter and dash attack inputs, if you hold basic attack when activating, Lycaon will start to chain into his first charged basic attack right after. It's not really a shortcut, but it's one less button you have to press while fighting. Lycaon's regular special is a basic upper kick. If you hold the special button, Lycaon can charge this move for a bit more damage in days. With 60 energy, tapping the special button would do Lycaon's EX special. This quick combo only costs 40 energy. When you hold the special button, Lycaon will consume 20 additional energy for a longer extended combo. This combo does deal more damage in days, but its damage in days per energy value is about the same as the uncharged version. Basically, you don't have to always do the fully charged EX special. If you're close to a stun, the tap version will suffice. If the enemy is doing a tricky attack, you can use the iframes of the fully charged EX special to stay safe longer. Do take note that the charged EX special doesn't have a lot of tracking. Lycaon's mostly stationary, so if the enemy's moving around, you could just miss the extra kicks entirely. Lycaon's defensive assist has gained more importance with this rework. First off, the strength of this parry has been upgraded to the stronger defensive assist. This means Lycaon only consumes 1 assist point when you block big attacks. After the defensive assist, if you tap basic attack, Lycaon will respond with his assist follow-up. Going back to the core passive, when EX special or assist follow-ups hit an enemy, Lycaon lowers their ice resistance by 25% for 30 seconds. With the rework, Lycaon's non-ice allies will deal 30% more damage to those same targets. Every 30 seconds, Lycaon wants to land his EX special or assist follow-up to apply this damage buff. Ice Red Shred's pretty rare, and now Lycaon can buff non-ice agents with a simple 30% damage bonus. It's not super crazy, but this makes Lycaon even more versatile outside the ice DPS teams. On the topic, for Lycaon's addition ability, he needs an ice agent, a Victoria Housekeeping agent, or after the rework, Lycaon also works in any anomaly agent. The actual addition ability effect has not been changed. When Lycaon hits a stunned enemy, he increases their stun damage multiplier by 35%. You could use Lycaon's chain attack to trigger this buff, but if Lycaon's the one triggering your first chain attack, then he's already applied the extra stun damage. As long as he taps the enemy once their stun bar is flashing, you don't need to bring Lycaon back in after. Generally, double anomaly teams don't use a stunner, however Arya is an example of an anomaly agent who does like stun phases. For those without Nangong, Lycaon can be a stand-in now to boost Arya's stun phase of bloom spam. We've covered most of Lycaon's main mechanics and some of these small buffs from the rework, so let's review. When on field, Lycaon can charge his basic attacks to deal ice damage and do extra Daze. His core passive buffs Daze for charged basics even more, and that bonus now applies to the dodge counter plus dash attack. Every 30 seconds, Lycaon wants to land his EX special or assist follow-ups to give his ice allies 25% ice red shred. For all other attribute types, they get 30% general bonus damage. When the enemy gets stunned, you want Lycaon to hit them at any point to apply his 35% stun damage bonus. If he triggers the first chain attack, then you're already good. With the new damage buff for non-ice agents and the addition ability working with anomaly agents, this rework makes Lycaon even more versatile for team building. As a standard S rank, the more teams Lycaon can fit in, the better. Next, let's talk about the biggest changes from the rework. To go with a stronger defensive assist, they gave Lycaon a second assist follow-up. To activate it, after the perfect assist, hold the basic attack button. We could call this the charged assist follow-up, but it's called Glacial Waltz, which is a much cooler name. The main benefits of Glacial Waltz comes from the core passive, which involves a short story worth of text, so let's try to break it down. First off, after using Glacial Waltz, Lycaon triggers a backwards quick assist. There is a catch though, and that is Lycaon only triggers his quick assist if he has an Encircle Prey activation chance. To get this Encircle Prey activation chance, Lycaon will enter battle with 1 to start. After you do a perfect assist, Glacial Waltz, and then the quick assist, Lycaon uses up this chance to enter the Encircle Prey state for 8 seconds. While active, Lycaon will stay on foot in the background. He can do basic attacks, dash attack, dodge, and dodge counter. He will do each of these moves based on your active agent's inputs. After the 8 seconds are up or after other conditions, Lycaon will do one more Glacial Waltz, then exit Encircle Prey state. To refresh Lycaon's Encircle Prey activation chance, you must stun an elite or boss type enemy. The entire point of Encircle Prey is that Lycaon can now build up Daze from off field. Importantly though, Lycaon can only enter Encircle Prey once per stun cycle. When you actually get the stun, Lycaon will get his activation chance back, so you can use it on the next cycle. Lycaon's Awaken passive is directly tied to Encircle Prey. While that state is active, Lycaon's basic attacks, dash attack, and the dodge counter as the non-active agent will get 15% more impact. Just like the core passive, this is basically just free bonus Daze buildup. To get the full 15%, you will need to get Lycaon to potential 6. There's actually a lot to the Encircle Prey mechanic, but here are the things I think everyone should know about for sure. While in Encircle Prey, Lycaon only deals damage and Daze, he does not build anomaly. When your active agent uses basic attacks or EX specials, Lycaon will cycle through his first 3 basic attacks. In Encircle Prey, these are considered charge attacks, meaning he's getting the core passive's Daze increase. When your active agent dodges, Lycaon will dodge. When they dash attack, Lycaon dash attacks. When they dodge counter, you get the point. As a reminder, these moves are now getting the core passive's Daze bonus as well. If your active agent stops attacking or they use a chain attack or ultimate, Lycaon will end Encircle Prey state early by doing an automatic Glacial Waltz. Despite being on field and tied to your inputs, Lycaon can still be used for perfect assist. You can also swap to him normally. Please note that if you perfect assist and do Glacial Waltz, Lycaon will end Encircle Prey early as well. If you don't want the state to end, just do the normal assist follow-up. When Lycaon becomes the active agent, Encircle Prey's duration will not decrease. When you swap off Lycaon, he will stay on field until Encircle Prey properly ends. Basically, Lycaon will start Encircle Prey with 1 Glacial Waltz, and he will exit with a second Glacial Waltz. He's not on field for a ton of time, but that's 8 seconds of extra Daze buildup you weren't getting before. Since this is the first iteration of this type of mechanic, Encircle Prey has some wonky interactions. It also has some smaller details, but I'll save the rest of these for the after party tips section. For the rest of the main guide section, let's cover Lycaon's other big moves and talk about some tips. Lycaon's chain attack is pretty standard, it doesn't do a ton of damage or activate anything special. I only mainly use it if I start the stun with another agent by accident. That way Lycaon can apply his 35% stun damage bonus. Lycaon's ultimate is also pretty basic, it's a high burst of Daze in one go. If you need to reapply Lycaon's core passive buffs, you may want to EX special before ulting into a stun. Of course, if you swapped in with a perfect assist follow-up, then no problems there. As a stunner, it's good to know what are Lycaon's heavy attacks since those are what trigger chain attacks. All variations of Lycaon's specials are heavy attacks. Regular and EX special, uncharged and charged. Instead of needing to use special though, all of Lycaon's charged basic attacks are heavy hits. The first charged basic is useful because Lycaon will track toward his target. Let's say you're doing double chain attacks and your damage dealer chain attack leads them a bit far from the target. This can happen with Hugo for example. When you swap to Lycaon, you don't have to dash forward or anything. Just holding basic for the charge attack will bring Lycaon right into range. With the new Glacial Waltz and Encircle Prey state, Lycaon has a new heavy attack method. Let's say you just about fill the stun bar as Lycaon is ending Encircle Prey. If you see him start to do Glacial Waltz in the background, you can swap to Lycaon, take control, and the Glacial Waltz finisher will be a heavy attack. A little situational but very stylish way to start the stun, and Lycaon applies his stun damage multiplier. With that said, Lycaon doesn't need to beat the activation to trigger his additional ability. He just needs to touch the enemy at any point when the stun bar is flashing. Thanks to Encircle Prey, Lycaon can tag the enemy for his bonus stun damage from off-field now. You don't have to bring him out at all if you don't want it. That's actually a nice quality of life perk, but there is one very important thing to be aware of. Let's say you're playing with manual chain attacks and you get the flashing stun bar, but Lycaon's still in Encircle Prey. At some point, Lycaon will have to do Glacial Waltz to exit the state. Well, if you swap to Lycaon as this is happening, you'll get another quick assist prompt. This is because Lycaon already got the next Encircle Prey activation. If you were to take this quick assist, Lycaon will re-enter Encircle Prey. You do not want this to happen because he's going to be whacking an already stunned enemy and you no longer have Encircle Prey after the enemy recovers. The last thing I want to discuss is about freeze. If you can fill the ice anomaly gauge and trigger freeze on stunned foes, this also freezes the stun bar. If you trigger shatter, that will end the freeze. Some moves will not cause shatter until the end though. For example, as a general rule of thumb, chain attacks and ultimates typically won't break freeze early. Lycaon doesn't apply the most amount of anomaly himself, but do look out for these opportunities. Now the biggest abuser of this freeze plus stun interaction is Miyabi. Because Miyabi's frost attribute also triggers freeze, you can combo that with the regular ice attribute freeze for multiple procs in one stun phase. Thanks to this interaction, pretty much every big boss after Miyabi's release cannot be frozen. This even extends to some of the elite enemies as well, so yeah, unfortunately this tech is very limited in the harder content these days. When it works though, it is very powerful. For builds, Lycaon doesn't need anything fancy, you mainly just want more impact and Daze to stun faster. His main drive descent will need crit rate. The Miyabi Mono Ice teams may prefer Energy Regen or Anomaly Mastery. The Mono Ice team is a bit more specialized though, so I'm not going to focus on the specifics too much in this section. Lycaon's signature standard S-Rank W engine is the Restrained. It has an 18% impact main stat and any attack will build a stacking 6% damage and Daze boost for basic attacks. It can stack up to 5 times, but the buff time is calculated separately per stack and it only lasts for 8 seconds. The Restrained is pretty straightforward. Extra damage is good, but we mainly care about the bonus Daze. Lycaon will use his basic attacks during his on-field time or while he's in Encircle Prey. It's a fine generalist option. For buffing S-Rank W engine, Lycaon can use Lighter's Blazing Laurel. If you perfect assist in, you get a solid impact buff for 8 seconds to go with Encircle Prey. Plus, basic attacks will apply a stacking buff for fire and ice crit damage. Very nice. In regards to Hellfire gears, it's fine to use, but since Encircle Prey puts Lycaon on field now, you won't get that extra energy regen. Be aware of that. For the A ranks, Lycaon can use the brand new Simmering Pot Event W engine. Impact main stat and using an assist follow-up grants damage and Daze for 30 seconds. That sounds great for Encircle Prey. Besides Simmering Pot, we got the reliable craftables, Steam Ovens the energy regen option. If you need early stuns or you're just chasing the 20k mark in Deadly Assault, Precious Fossilized Core is very good, just a ton of stunning power for all moves. For Drive Disc, Lycaon would generally use 4-piece King at the Summit. It's the go-to stun agent set that grants 6% Daze, and on EX special or chain attacks, your team gets a 15% crit damage buff for 15 seconds. If the stunner, which is Lycaon, has more than 50% crit rate, you get an extra 15% crit damage buff. King of the Summit is fantastic for crit DPSs, but it will require really good crit rate substats and obviously a crit rate partition for Disc on Lycaon. Partition 5 can be any of the damage related stats, whatever you has the best crit rate substats. For Partition 6, Lycaon can use Impact or some like Energy Regen. For other 4-piece sets, Lycaon could use Shockstar Disco. It's a fine option, but unless you get another stun in the fight, most people will prefer the buffing 4-piece sets instead. Speaking of, for the Miyabi team, or just in general since Lycaon has a quick assist now, he can hold Astral Voice. You still want a support or something to be the main quick assist activator, but Lycaon at least contributes a stack now. For 2-piece sets, you can use Candy Summit or Shockstar, either or is fine. You can also use a 20% energy regen 2-piece like Swing Jazz. For teams, Lycaon's even more versatile now with his new general damage buffs for non-ice agents and working with anomaly agents for his additional ability. He's still a nice go-to for any ice DPS teams, and there's new potential for double stunner teams thanks to Encircle Prey. Since Lycaon triggers a backwards quick assist, you usually want to place him after your DPS agent. It does depend though. First off, the Victoria Housekeeping faction has Lycaon on stun duty, Rina on pen ratio buffing support, and either Ellen or Corrin as your main damage dealers. We're still waiting to see how they buff Rina, but if she gets some nice upgrades, then Lycaon plus Rina should be a fine stun plus support core for any third damage dealer. For Ellen and Corrin, you don't have to use Rina. You can use the normal attack buffers like Astra, Lucy, Caesar, Suna, or Sokaku. If you have Zhao, she forms a very versatile duo with Lycaon if you want an attack and damage buffer. You can even use a non-ice attacker or anomaly agent as your DPS. The same will apply for Sokaku as well, but some players do not like her buffing method. Zhao is pretty off-hands generally speaking. For Rupture teams, Yidhari is fantastic on her own thanks to her offset parries, so Encircle Prey works really well for Daze build up at the same time. She also loves stun phases for bursts, so Lycaon's a really great fit. For sure first buffers, Lucy can easily fit into this team, but if you run Pan and Hu, you have to be careful with your quick assists. Pan has to backwards quick assist into Yidhari, which means Lycaon's now backwards quick assisting into Pan. It's a little wonky. This new quick assist may also affect the Hugo double stunner team. Personally, I like to run Lycaon lighter than Hugo. However, since my Hugo uses Hormone Punk, I need to change the team order so Lycaon quick assist into lighter. Also, if you use Encircle Prey, now lighter is the one on fielding instead of Lycaon. Not a huge issue, it's just different. Speaking of different, if you have no ice DPSs, technically Sokaku can work as a damage dealer. She's not the greatest or anything, but definitely good enough for A-rank scores at the least. For anomaly teams, Lycaon, Sokaku, and Miyabi are the OG mono ice team. For this team, generally Lycaon and Sokaku are just trying to apply as much ice anomaly as they can, so they can cause disorders with Miyabi's frost. It's not the easiest team to play, and you can't abuse the ice plus frost freeze chaining much, but it's still an okay team. Instead of Sokaku, you can use Yuzuha, but you may need to play around with your team order. Now, the main reason Lycaon's additional ability added that anomaly ally condition was most likely for Arya. For those without Nangong, Lycaon's a decent substitute. A general damage buff with a stun damage bonus is great, plus Encircle Prey lets Arya get some field time. As I'm making this video, Promia has not been released just yet. I don't know if she's going to be functional with a stunner like Lycaon, but she's our first proper ice anomaly agent, so it's worth a mention. Keep an eye out, or maybe I can update my pinned comment in the future. Next, let's briefly cover Lycaon's Mindscapes. For M1, increase the days of the EX special by 12%. If you charge up the EX special fully, it gets another 10% days. This effect has an 8-second cooldown and it's a pretty simple buff for Lycaon's stunning power. For M2, when stunning an enemy or when triggering an ally's chain attack, Lycaon gains 5 energy. Another simple boost for Lycaon to do more EX specials in a fight. For M4, when Lycaon is hit during his basic attacks or regular special, he gains a shield equal to 7.5% max HP for 15 seconds. During this time, Lycaon's harder to interrupt and this has a 15-second cooldown. If he needs to face tank, then M4 helps Lycaon push through attacks. Last, Mindscape 6 states, when any charge attack hits a foe, Lycaon inflicts a debuff that makes him deal 10% more damage to that foe for 12 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. The general idea for M6 is that Lycaon can deal 50% more damage to a foe as long as he does charge attacks. If you want to play DPS Lycaon, then you'll definitely want M6, but otherwise we aren't terribly worried about Lycaon's personal damage. I'm not entirely sure if Encircle Prey's attacks count for this Mindscape, but as mentioned earlier, they seem to count as charge attacks, so I assume they will. Overall, Lycaon's Mindscapes are not anything crazy to chase after. Technically speaking, M3 and M5 increase the days of all of his moves, so yeah, getting more copies will not hurt you. If you want to think of it another way, Lycaon's base kit was already fine for a standard Gacha S rank. He did his job well enough, and the rework has just added more to that already decent base kit. For the after party tips section, we'll mostly talk about Encircle Prey. But first, Lycaon's quick assist is the same animation as his dodge counter. When Lycaon flies in, you can hold basic attack to chain into the first charge basic. There were 2 more details about Encircle Prey from the core passive description. After doing a dodge counter, Lycaon will immediately follow up with the 3rd hit of his charged basic attacks. This is kind of just a free bonus if you dodge counter. Next, if Encircle Prey state ends early, for every 1 second remaining, the daze of the next Glacial Waltz is increased by 6%. Remember that Encircle Prey typically ends with a Glacial Waltz, so it's buffing that finishing one as compensation for not attacking on field the full 8 seconds. To end this video, I want to share some discoveries I found for Encircle Prey. First, you may have noticed Lycaon's attack rate is kinda weird. It does seem to be tied to pressing the basic attack button or using an EX special, but to get the fastest attack rate, it seems like you can just hold down your basic attack. If your active agent is doing a long animation and you aren't pressing any buttons, then Lycaon is not going to attack. Try to hold basic or special during these longer animations. This is something I've tried to be more wary of for agents like Ghidorah who have a pretty long EX special move. Earlier, I talked about how Lycaon can waste his next Encircle Prey if you swap to him as he does the Glacial Waltz finisher on a stunned foe, and you take the quick assist. Well, here's something even funkier. Let's say you did not use Encircle Prey yet. You get the enemy almost to a stun, and then you have Lycaon do perfect assist plus Glacial Waltz. If you take the quick assist, this time Lycaon ends up still having Encircle Prey for the next stun. Same situation, if you immediately take the quick assist, using manual chain attacks, you can skip the heavy attack and swap back to Lycaon. You can then do a second quick assist, all within the same Glacial Waltz. Because I was curious, I tried to go for 3 quick assists within 1 Glacial Waltz. Turns out, it is possible, but I think your other agent needs to have a very short quick assist animation, so you can swap back to Lycaon in time. Now, why does this work? It appears Lycaon's using the first Encircle Prey activation for all 3 quick assist triggers. However, by gaining a second activation chance during Glacial Waltz, this allows the quick assist prompt to actually reappear. If you try to do this on a foe not close to a stun, it does not work. You get the 1 quick assist activation and that's it. Now, is this useful? Technically, Lycaon can fully activate Astral Voice in like a second. The issue is that you need to save Encircle Prey all the way till the enemy is almost stunned, in which case, Encircle Prey isn't helping you stun faster. As entertaining as this weird triple quick assist is, here's something a little more practical, and honestly, I don't think it's supposed to work this way. Right after you start your Glacial Waltz animation, if Lycaon uses ultimate, then at the end of the move, the quick assist prompt will still appear. That part's not unusual. Lucy can do a similar thing by landing her EX special first, then ulting. What is unusual is that Lycaon does not use up his 1 Encircle Prey activation chance. He never actually enters Encircle Prey with this. If you do Glacial Waltz again after, he will still trigger the quick assist, then stay on field for Encircle Prey. I thought this might be like a bug, but I think it's because the ultimate is canceling Encircle Prey, which means Lycaon didn't use up his activation chance technically. Honestly, I'm not sure. Like I've been saying, this mechanic is the first of its kind, and it's got some jankiness for sure. On the surface, Lycaon's buffs are mostly straightforward. He buffs damage for non-ice agents now, and his addition ability works with anomaly agents as well. The main change is Glacial Waltz plus Encircle Prey, giving Lycaon some off-field stunning capabilities. It's a really nice change, and it helps take advantage of his charged basic attacks even when not the active agent. In terms of how Encircle Prey works, there's actually a lot going on. You don't really need to worry about most of these details, but as we covered, there are some really weird interactions. Overall, Lycaon was already great for a standard Gacha S rank. Now he's got more teams to fit into, and he continues to be a solid part for the Ice DPS squads. Encircle Prey is pretty cool as an addition, and I assume we'll be seeing more of this type of synchronized attacks in the future. I think it fits Lycaon very well as a Wolf Thyron Butler bodyguard. That would be it for this video. Apologies, it's super late, but I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.